This is a spiritual conversation between Abhinavagupta and his disciple Ramdeva. In the sacred land of Pravarpura, modern-day Srinagar, where the Jhelum river flowed eternally, lived the great Abhinavagupta, the master of Kashmir Shaivism, Tantra, and aesthetics. His knowledge was unparalleled, and seekers from across the land came to him to unravel the mysteries of the self, the universe, and Dharma. One such seeker was Ramdeva, a sincere and devoted disciple. Though well-versed in scriptures and practices, his mind was troubled by a contradiction in the path of Tantra, the practice of animal sacrifice. One day, unable to contain his dilemma, he approached his guru with his question. Seated at the edge of a lotus-filled pond, Ramdeva bowed to Abhinavagupta and said, "Guruji, some tantric traditions prescribe animal sacrifice as a part of rituals. They say it pleases the deities and is a part of dharma. But our scriptures also teach compassion for all beings. Is this not a contradiction? How can violence be dharma?" Abhinavagupta gazed at his disciple with a serene smile and replied, "Come, Ramdeva. Let us not argue with words alone, let us see the truth in experience." He gestured for Ramdeva to follow him. Abhinavagupta led Ramdeva to a small tantric shrine deep in the forest, where an old ascetic was performing a sacrifice. On the altar lay a clay figure of a goat, and before it burned a sacred fire. The ascetic, reciting mantras, raised a knife, but instead of killing an animal, he sliced through a bundle of flowers, offering them to the flames. Ramdeva watched in astonishment. Abhinavagupta turned to him and asked, "Tell me, my child, was a sacrifice performed?" Ramdeva, "Yes, Guruji. But no life was taken." Abhinavagupta smiled. "Exactly. True Tantra does not demand the killing of beings, it demands the sacrifice of the inner animal, our ignorance, lust, greed, and anger. The goat represents the ego, the lower instincts. The knife is knowledge. The true sacrifice is the transformation of the self." Still contemplating, Ramdeva asked, "But Guruji, if this is the true meaning, why do some tantric texts prescribe actual animal sacrifice?" Abhinavagupta nodded, "Because Tantra is not one path, but many. There are lower and higher teachings, suited to different levels of seekers. In ancient times, people were deeply rooted in their instincts. They saw the divine as external, as gods to be pleased through offerings. For such minds, rituals were given to gradually refine their consciousness." He picked up a leaf and a stone from the ground. "Tell me, Ramdeva, what is heavier, the stone or the leaf?" Ramdeva replied, "The stone, Guruji." Abhinavagupta dropped both into the river. The leaf floated, while the stone sunk. Just as the weight of the stone pulls it down, an impure mind cannot rise immediately to the highest truth. It must go through many steps. Some tantric sects prescribed external sacrifices to wean people off their attachment to material life. But the highest Tantra transcends all violence. Still, Ramdeva was troubled. "Guruji, even if sacrifices were meant for lesser minds, is it not still wrong? Should we not have taught compassion instead?" Abhinavagupta smiled and led him to a hermitage, where a deer and a tiger were drinking water from the same pond. "Look at them, Ramdeva. The deer is gentle, the tiger is fierce. But both drink from the same source. Likewise, dharma is not the same for all beings. The path of a renunciate is different from that of a warrior. The path of devotion is different from that of knowledge. But all paths must eventually lead to ahimsa, non-violence, because the ultimate realization is oneness. Compassion is not just about refraining from harming others, It is about lifting them from ignorance. To condemn without understanding is not true compassion. For the first time, Ramdeva understood. The essence of Tantra was not in external actions, but in the inner transformation of the self. He bowed deeply and said, Guruji, I now see that Dharma is not rigid. Rituals were created as stepping stones, but the highest truth is beyond them. True sacrifice is not of animals, but of the ego. True compassion is not just refraining from harm, but guiding others toward wisdom. Abhinavagupta smiled. Yes, my child. Now, let your own life be the true yajna, where ignorance is sacrificed in the fire of wisdom and compassion flows like the eternal river. As they walked back under the moonlit sky, Ramdeva felt lighter, as if the burden of doubt had been sacrificed in the fire of understanding. Moral of the story. True sacrifice is the offering of the lower self, the ego, desires, and ignorance, not the killing of beings. Tantric texts have different levels of teachings, some for lesser minds, others for evolved seekers. Violence in any form is not the final truth. The highest dharma is ahimsa, non-violence. Compassion is not just about avoiding harm, but guiding others towards wisdom. The real yajna, sacrifice, happens within, where the fire of knowledge burns away illusions. True Tantra is not about offering blood to the gods, but about offering the self to the divine within. Om Namah Shivaya.